Do you remember a time when magical koalas transported us to a world of adventure and wonder? Noozles was an 80s children's show that captivated the hearts of many with its unique mix of fantasy, adventure, and unforgettable emotion. What made the show so special? Why did it leave such an indelible mark? And what happened to it after its brief run? Grab your nostalgia goggles and let's uncover the magic and mystery behind this oft-forgotten piece of 80s animation. Noozles is a Japanese animated series that first aired in Japan in 1984 and was later introduced to American audiences as part of the Nick Jr. programming block. At its heart, the show follows 12-year-old Sandy Brown, an ordinary girl whose life takes a magical turn when she discovers a mysterious stuffed koala, Blinky, in a package sent by her missing grandfather. To Sandy's astonishment, Blinky springs to life with a simple noozle, another name for a nose rub, revealing that he and his mischievous counterpart Pinky hail from an otherworldly realm called Koala Walla Land. The creation of Noozles was shaped by a fascinating confluence of cultural phenomena in both Japan and the United States during the 1980s. In Japan, the series emerged during a nationwide koala craze. In the early 80s, the Australian government gifted several koalas to Japanese zoos as a gesture of goodwill, coinciding with the birth of a koala at Tokyo's Tama Zoo. This event ignited an unprecedented fascination with the marsupials, leading to an explosion of koala-themed merchandise, advertising, and media, with one standout being koala-shaped cookies that became so iconic they're still a staple of Japanese culture today. Even Akira Toriyama, yes, that Akira Toriyama, was commissioned to design a koala-themed relief for the local zoo. But the real battle played out on TV screens, where two anime studios waged their own koala wars, Nippon Animation and Studio Topcraft. Nippon Animation, alongside Fuji TV, produced Blinky the Wonderful Koala, a charming series with Aiko Tanaka, who would later become a producer for Studio Ghibli, at the helm. When the show crossed the Pacific to American audiences, it was rebranded as Noozles. Meanwhile, Studio Topcraft created Adventures of the Little Koala. Interestingly, many of the animators on Adventures of the Little Koala were simultaneously working on Hayao Miyazaki's Nausicaa: Valley of the Wind. Meanwhile, in the United States, children's television was undergoing a transformation. This was a time when beloved franchises like Care Bears and My Little Pony reigned supreme, offering children access to magical worlds filled with anthropomorphic characters and moral lessons. As the Cold War drew to a close, Nickelodeon was hitting its stride. Nickelodeon itself had humble beginnings, launching in 1977, but it wasn't until 1988 that Nick Jr. was officially introduced as a branded block. The newly minted Nick Jr. expanded its offerings, adding Heathcliff and Sharon, Lois and Bram's Elephant Show to its lineup.
Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo, I love you.
Alongside the world of David the Gnome. With its rebranding, Nickelodeon was hungry for more preschool-focused content to fill out the block and solidify its place in the rapidly growing cable market. The 80s were also a period of increasing globalization in media. American children's networks were keen to import content from abroad, particularly from Japan, whose animation studios were producing a wealth of creative, high-quality material. Around the same time, America was riding its own wave of Australia fever. Just 2 years earlier, Paul Hogan had charmed audiences with his famous catchphrase about putting a shrimp on the Barbie.
I'll slip an extra shrimp on the barbie for you.
And his breakout role in Crocodile Dundee turned the film into a massive box office hit. The cultural fascination didn't stop there. Outback Steakhouse, an Australian-themed restaurant chain, opened its doors in the US and quickly became a national franchise sensation, further fueling the country's fascination with all things Aussie. At its core, Noozles was created to address a twofold challenge: capturing the imagination of young viewers while leveraging a cultural phenomenon to create a commercially successful product. The Japanese koala craze of the early 80s provided the perfect backdrop for this endeavor. With koalas suddenly becoming a national obsession, the creators of Noozles sought to capitalize on this fascination. One of the series' central challenges was standing out in a crowded market of children's programming. The solution was to create a narrative that straddled the mundane and the fantastical by placing 12-year-old Sandy in a relatable, everyday world, but introducing the magical dimension of Koala Walla Land. The show achieved a delicate balance between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Noozles was brought to life by Nippon Animation Company Limited, a studio renowned for its meticulous craftsmanship and dedication to producing high-quality anime. The series was directed by Taku Sugiyama, a veteran of the anime industry, whose previous work on projects like Space Battleship Yamato and The Little Prince demonstrated his ability to balance fantasy and heartfelt storytelling. The character designs were finalized by Isamu Kumada. Kumada's designs emphasize round, soft features for the koalas, giving Blinky and Pinky an approachable, cuddly aesthetic that instantly appealed to children. The visual style combined traditional anime techniques with a light, airy color palette, creating a magical atmosphere that complemented the show's themes. The creative process behind Noozles was guided by a clear vision: to capture the imagination of children through relatable characters, fantastical settings, and a touch of mystery. In the race to beat Studio Top Craft's Adventures of the Little Koala to air, the team behind Blinky the Wonderful Koala pushed hard to complete their series in time for Japan's highly anticipated koala arrivals, originally scheduled for April 1984, but nature and politics had other plans. A harsh winter stunted eucalyptus growth, infighting broke out between Japanese and Australian zoos, and there were even rumors of trade pressures to get Japan to import more Australian beef. These delays meant the show premiered before any koalas actually arrived in Japan. The delays had shifted public sentiment from excitement about koalas to uncertainty and anxiety over if and when they'd actually arrive. The final format of Noozles was a 26-episode anime series, with each episode running approximately 30 minutes. In Japan, Noozles premiered on Fuji TV in July 1984 and ran through December of the same year. Despite being a product of its cultural moment, Noozles demonstrated universal themes and an engaging format that allowed it to find success outside of Japan. Noozles eventually made its way to American audiences 4 years later in 1988, thanks to Saban International, which handled the English dubbing. The show was picked up by Nickelodeon and became part of the network's burgeoning Nick Jr. programming block. Dubbed episodes aired in the early afternoon. At first glance, Noozles might seem like a simple, whimsical children's show, but its plot offered surprising depth and intrigue. Decades before the series begins, Sandy Brown's grandfather, an archaeologist, mysteriously vanishes during an expedition in Australia. Before disappearing, he sent a package to Sandy's grandmother, but it was lost when the ship carrying it sank at sea, remaining undiscovered for 38 years. In the present day, the shipwreck is salvaged, and the package, miraculously intact, is delivered to Sandy's home. Inside is what seems to be an ordinary stuffed koala. Assuming it was a sentimental gift, Sandy's grandmother re-gifts it to Sandy, but when Sandy playfully gives the plush an Eskimo kiss, or nuzzle, it springs to life. The koala, Blinky, reveals he's been in a magical slumber for decades, and his sister Pinky soon joins him, urging him to return to their home, Koala Walla Land. But Blinky, enchanted by the human world, refuses, setting the stage for the adventures to come. At the heart of the series is Sandy Brown, the plucky 12-year-old protagonist who is curious, brave, and often serves as the voice of reason amidst the chaos brought on by her two koala companions. Blinky is the lovable yet yet lazy co-protagonist of the series. With his charming personality and penchant for snacking on the eucalyptus tree outside Sandy's window, Blinky provides much of the show's humor and heart. Blinky has a special ability to enter magic sleepy time, a state where he appears as an ordinary stuffed animal, allowing him to remain inconspicuous around others. Blinky also has a magical watch that can stop time, which frequently becomes a key tool in their adventures. Pinky, Blinky's younger sister, is a pink koala with a penchant for causing trouble. Determined to bring Blinky back to Koala Walla Land, Pinky often clashes with both her brother and Sandy, creating a lively tension in the trio's dynamic. Pinky wields her own magical items, including a compact that creates floating bubbles and a lipstick that opens portals between dimensions. Sandy's grandmother is a grounding presence in the series, and the only other character fully aware of Blinky and Pinky's true nature. Sandy's mother, Kelly, is a hard-working journalist who loves her daughter deeply, but struggles to balance her demanding career with parenting. Often busy or away from home, Kelly is unaware of Blinky and Pinky's existence. And finally, Sandy's father, Alex, is an archaeologist whose work takes him far from home. While largely absent during the series, toward the end, Alex himself mysteriously disappears, deepening the show's overarching intrigue. One of the defining elements of Noozles was his combination of whimsical, episodic adventures with the overarching sense of mystery. Much of the series revolved around Sandy trying to keep the koala's existence a secret, a recurring challenge that created plenty of comedic tension. Another hallmark of the series was Sandy waking Blinky up with a nuzzle. This moment became a key ritual in every episode. Another repeating element was the constant push and pull over whether Blinky should return to Koala Walla Land. While Pinky tirelessly campaigned for his return, Blinky relished his new life with Sandy, creating a running conflict that underscored many episodes. But beneath the episodic fun of Noozles lay a mysterious and more serious storyline. Sandy's grandfather's disappearance 38 years ago remained an unresolved puzzle that loomed over the show. Questions surrounding Koala Walla Land itself also gave the series a sense of wonder. What exactly was this alternate dimension, and why did it seem so dangerous? Why did its inhabitants, like Blinky and Pinky, have magical powers? Well, the lore of Noozles is surprisingly rich and layered for a children's cartoon. This mythos was centered on the parallel dimension of Koala Walla Land and the mysterious connections between this world and Sandy's own family history.
For as the world of Koala Walla Land goes, so goes the world of mankind.
Koala Walla Land is depicted as a vibrant yet oppressive dimension, inhabited by anthropomorphic creatures, inspired by Australia's wildlife. While it appears whimsical on the surface, Koala Walla Land harbors a much darker side. This land has been overtaken by a tyrannical dictator known as the High Dingy Doo, and its kangaroo enforcers, the Kangaroo Cops, patrol the dimension with an iron fist. This authoritarian regime reflects a society that is deeply suspicious of outsiders. Humans, in particular, are forbidden from entering Koala Walla Land and face immediate imprisonment if discovered. During Sandy's rare forays into the dimension, she had to disguise herself with a koala mask to avoid detection. One of the most haunting aspects of the Noozles lore is the Crystal Place, a mysterious and sinister location within Koala Walla Land. This glittering, maze-like structure, described as sparkling like a giant diamond, is as beautiful as it is treacherous. Once someone enters the Crystal Place, they are doomed to wander its labyrinthine passages forever, their spirit trapped in an endless cycle of seeking an exit that does not exist. Back on Earth, Ayers Rock serves as the critical link between Sandy's world and Koala Walla Land. The massive sandstone monolith in Australia becomes the focal point of the series' central mystery, as both Sandy's grandfather and her father vanish at this location 38 years apart. Sandy's grandfather, Dr. Brown, was the first to uncover the portal during his archaeological dig. His accidental entry into Koala Walla Land triggered a series of events that led to his eventual capture by the Kangaroo Cops and his imprisonment in the Crystal Place. Decades later, Sandy's father, Professor Alex Brown, retraced his father's steps in search of answers, only to meet a similar fate. The ending of Noozles is bittersweet. Unlike many children's shows of its time, Noozles opted for a finale that leaned into themes of sacrifice, loss, and the enduring power of love and memory. The climactic arc of the series revolves around Sandy's journey to Koala Land to rescue her father. Ultimately, she succeeds in freeing her father and bringing him back to the human world. However, this victory came at a great cost. Blinky and Pinky must stay behind in Koala Land to ensure the portal between the two worlds remains stable. This means that Sandy has to say goodbye to her beloved koala companions forever. The farewell between Sandy, Blinky, and Pinky is one of the most emotionally charged moments of the series. After so many adventures together, the realization that their time has come to an end is heartbreaking. Blinky, who had always resisted returning to Koala Land, ultimately embraces his role as a protector of his homeland. One of the most touching moments in the finale is when Sandy's mother finally learns the truth about Blinky and Pinky. When she asks Sandy why she kept their existence a secret, Sandy reminds her that she tried to tell her mother, but she wasn't believed.
Every time I see that tree, it reminds me of them.
I still can't believe that they were living up here in this room all that time and I never even noticed them.
Me neither.
I only wish you hadn't thought you had to hide them from me.
First, I didn't try and hide it from you. I tried to tell you a bunch of times, but you wouldn't listen.
This revelation underscores one of the recurring themes of the series, the importance of listening to and believing in children's experiences, even when they seem fantastical or unbelievable. Despite the triumph of rescuing her father, Sandy's grandfather remains trapped in the Crystal Place, his fate left unresolved. At its core, the moral of Noozles is about cherishing the moments we have with the people, or koalas, we love. Sandy's grief is portrayed with honesty and sensitivity.
Mama, I miss them, Mom. You see, Blinky and Pinky were my best friends. We were always together.
The show reminds viewers of the resilience of the human spirit. The loss is painful, the love we share, and the memories we keep can sustain us.
Blinky, Pinky.
A piece of trivia about the show is that Pinky's English voice actress, Cheryl Chase, would go on to become a household name in the 90s as the voice of Angelica Pickles in Rugrats.
Sometimes I wish I didn't have a brother.
Well, that's what you get for wiping your boogers on Cynthia.
Further cementing her place in children's entertainment history. It's also interesting to note that there's an amusing pop culture connection embedded in the characters' names. Blinky and Pinky happen to share their names with two of the colorful ghosts from Pac-Man, Blinky and Pinky, though this is likely a coincidence. Critically, Noozles earned praise for its inventive premise and distinctive visual style. Its blend of fantastical elements and heartfelt moments set it apart from other Nick Jr. offerings at the time. The show's popularity was bolstered by a handful of spin-offs and merchandise. A tie-in book, Noozles' New Friends, was published in 1993, and from 91 to 94, 9 VHS tapes were released by Celebrity Home Entertainment. After its broadcast, Noozles largely disappeared from mainstream television, making it something of a hidden treasure for those who fondly remember its imaginative world and unique charm. Today, Noozles is not widely available on mainstream streaming platforms. Episodes can occasionally be found on DVD or through online fan archives, with dedicated collectors ensuring the series is not entirely forgotten. I've been able to find and restore the series in its entirety, and it's available to watch on my sister channel, the Rare Media Archive, link in the description. In Japan, Blinky the Wonderful Koala came and went, delighting children, but ultimately leaving only a small footprint. Internationally, however, the story was completely different. The show found enthusiastic audiences in countries like France, Spain, Germany, Italy, Russia, and Portugal, but their most significant impact was transforming the landscape of American animated television forever. In America, Noozles is often remembered as one of the first anime series many kids encountered. For a generation of viewers, Noozles served as an introduction to the storytelling depth of anime, helping to shape their perception of animated shows as something more than just cartoons. Quotes from fans reflect a strong attachment to the series, with one viewer reminiscing that Noozles was their first favorite show, while others note that the final episode still brings them to tears.
Oh, Mama, what am I gonna do without them? There isn't anything in this room that I can look at that doesn't remind me of them.
Well, dear, you'll feel better about it soon, really. I promise.
I'm never gonna feel better about losing them. Every time I think about Blinky and Pinky, I'm gonna feel awful.
I know it feels that way right now, but believe me, the feeling won't last forever. Before you know it, the hurt you're feeling right now will go away, and you'll be left with beautiful memories of Blinky and Pinky. You see, as you get older, your life will change. Some of your friends will move on, but meanwhile, you'll be making lots of new friends.
As for the creator and the team behind Noozles, their impact is most evident in the way the series shaped the perception of anime in the West. While it may not have been a massive commercial success, it played a key role in the gradual acceptance of anime as a legitimate form of entertainment for children. For Nickelodeon, Noozles didn't just play a role in bolstering Nickelodeon's main channel, it was instrumental in the success of the Nick Jr. program and block's launch. Its popularity laid the groundwork for Nickelodeon's evolution, paving the way for the first 3 NickToons, Doug, Rugrats, and the Ren and Stimpy Show. In fact, iconic shows like The Fairly OddParents, SpongeBob SquarePants, and even Avatar: The Last Airbender can trace their lineage back to a little show that, while now largely forgotten in Japan, helped shape the golden age of Nickelodeon's children's television. Personally, Noozles holds a deeply emotional significance for me. I remember watching it after school at my neighbor's house, where it was often the first show that came on when we got home. But it wasn't just the whimsical adventures or the talking koalas that stuck with me. It was the emotion that the show evoked, especially in its final moments. The ending was heart-wrenching, with Sandy and her mom preparing stir-fried shrimp while talking about loss. Sandy's mother shares a poignant memory about her childhood puppy who died, and how, even though it hurt at the time, she now only remembers the good times. This idea that love and loss are intertwined has stayed with me for years. This became even more poignant for me after the passing of my dog Max a couple years ago. Max and I shared countless adventures. Max was found on the side of the road as a puppy, abandoned with his sister. I took him in, and he became my little buddy through some of the toughest times in my life. But sadly, just like the fleeting joy of Noozles, his time with me came to an end. The suddenness of it was jarring, but I try to remember the good times, as Sandy's mother wisely said.
Have you felt like this?
Of course I have, dear. Let me tell you a little story about something that happened to me when I was a little girl. I had a dog named Pal, and Pal was my best friend in the whole wide world. Pal and I were so close we were like one person, that is, until one of the neighborhood kids let him out of our yard and chased him away. Well, I thought I would cry forever, but I didn't, and neither will you.
But Mom, how did you finally get over it?
It's just a matter of patience and the passing of time, and I want you to remember one thing. You're very lucky to have had friends like Blinky and Pinky. The pain that you're feeling right now will go away, but the memory in your heart will last a lifetime.
That's the legacy of Noozles for me. A reminder that love, though temporary, leaves an everlasting imprint on our hearts. And no matter the sadness that comes with loss, the joy of those memories will always remain.
You know, Pinky, I'm really gonna miss being around Sandy.
Yeah, me too, but now at least I know she'll be alright without us.